Writing is an activity of translating thoughts into words that form sentences and convey meaning through language understood by the reader. Our lives are much dependent on writing and reading activity to move forward. A great civilization has a society that values knowledge. Knowledge comes from the activity of writing by scholars, and it spreads among the society. Although the Quran has been revealed for a long time, its contents are still relevant until today. It is not affected by the passage of time because it is the most absolute truth from Allah for our guidance. The importance of writing has been highlighted in Quran. Through writing, all types of data and events can be recorded and referred to by others. Surah Al-Qalam had mentioned the significance of writing. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Noon wal qalami wa ma yasturun, which means Noon by the pen and what they inscribe. Writing that can influence all who read it is intending to call for the sake of Allah, and it is also considered as dakwah bil kitab. Hence, any gender could contribute to write tafsir. The scholars in the study of tafsir are also doing dakwah, no matter man or woman. Tafsir is a field of specialization in areas related to the interpretation of the Holy Quran. However, they are also devout and skilled in other knowledge, such as Arabic, literature, balaghah, fiqh, and others. All this knowledge is correlated with each other. Some tafsir scholars interpret verses according to grammar, balaghah, the law of fiqh, and according to the concept of Sufism. Among them are Ibn Jarir al-Tabari, Muhammad Rashid Ridha, Az-Zamakhshari, Sheikh Tantawi Jauhari, and Bintu Ash-Shati.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. My name is NURSYARAFANA AFIFI binti SAIDE, and my metric number is 1202133. So let's move on to the ethics of the Mufassir. So there are also the ethics of the Mufassir that are obliged to follow. Firstly, sincerity which working in the cause of Allah, seeking His approval and not expecting great reward and rank from doing the work. Secondly, one who calls to do good must be the first to do so to set an example for others, till others are convinced to accept the call. And lastly, a Mufassir must has a great personality so that people's sight and hearing will turn to him. A Mufassir must adhere to good morals in action and works, and always speak the truth aloud and not to hide it, as the biggest jihad is to speak the truth in the presence of tyrannical ruler.
My name is Nur ATHIRAH and my matrix number is 1202178. Okay, so the process of interpreting the Quran cannot possibly be done by any person. To become a mufassir, a person must fulfill all the mentioned conditions. Tafsir scholars had agreed to set forth the requirements that a mufassir must meet. The first one is they must be a sincere religious believer. The second condition is they must not circumambulate. Next, they must put the Quran interpretation ahead of the Quran itself. The following condition is a mufassir must know usul at-tafsir. The fifth condition is to use the sunnah, as the sunnah is an explanation for the Quran. Next, a mufassir must know the basic of religion. Next, the mufassir knows usul fiqh, because then the mufassir will be able to identify the law based on the Quran verse. And the last condition is a mufassir must master the Arabic language and its knowledge.
Muhammad ibn Jarir ibn Yazid ibn Kathir ibn Ghalib Abu Ja'far at-Tabari al-Baghdadi is a famous imam. At-Tabari is an Islamic scholar and a well-known historian. At-Tabari was born in the year of 224 Hijri in the city of Amal, located in the region of Tabaristan. It was during the reign of the Abbasid Caliph Al-Mu'tasim. Most of his time was spent in Baghdad. At-Tabari passed away on 28 Shawwal 310 Hijri. His father supported his journey in seeking knowledge. When he was only 7 years old, At-Tabari mentioned that he memorized the Holy Quran earnestly with all his heart. While at 9 years old, he started to write hadith. He has been an imam of prayers since he was 8. His best work was Jami' al-Bayan fi Ta'wil Ayah Quran. It is about the interpretation of the verse of the Quran and is known as Tafsir at-Tabari. His approach in his book relies on his commentary following Ahli Sunnah wal Jama'ah. It is based on the method of Tafsir Bilma'thur, which is an interpretation of Quran with Quran, Quran with Hadith, and Ijtihad of the companions. In his Tafsir, abrogating and abrogated verses and its interpretation with the proper vocalization. As he is a linguistic intellectual, he used his knowledge to interpret the meaning of the words. Tafsir at-Tabari is a remarkable book in this area. At-Tabari took several methods, including isnad, to ensure connectivity and maintain authenticity from the Prophet. He thus considered the ijma' ulama after considering the companions. Issues such as fiqh, masail al-kalam emphasized in his tafsir indicate that language and grammar aid adequate comprehension of the Quran.
My name is NURSYARAFANA AFIFI binti SAIDE, and I will be presenting about Tafsir al-Khashaf and Haqa'iq at-Tanzil by al-Zamakhshari. So the name of the writer is Abu al-Qasim Mahmud ibn Umar al-Khawarizmi al-Zamakhshari, and he has a nickname of Jarullah, or the neighbor of Allah. He was given that nickname because he lived the longest at Mecca and sat at one of the corners of the Masjid al-Haram's door as the place for him to contemplate and compose few of his books. His most famous work is Kitab Tafsir al-Khashaf and Haqa'iq at-Tanzil, which was written by him for 3 years in Mecca at the request of Abu Hasan Ali ibn Hamzah. Abu Hasan Ali ibn Hamzah is the one who instills the faith of Mu'tazilah into al-Zamakhshari. Al-Zamakhshari is one of the many fighters who holds the faith of Mu'tazilah. So the tafsir is arranged according to the order of the Mushaf and applied the pattern of interpretation bil-Ra'yi. Al-Zamakhshari begins the tafsir by mentioning the name of surah, number of verses, and an explanation whether the surah is Makkiyah or Madaniyah. Al-Zamakhshari uses the question and answer method for the better understanding of the readers in this tafsir, and there are influences of Mu'tazilah in the tafsir. Al-Zamakhshari also explains the differences in the recitation of the verses of the Quran and the meaning of each of the differences in the recitation. So Al-Zamakhshari has studied with many scholars such as Abu Mudar Mahmud, Ibn Jarir al-Dibbi al-Asfahani, Abu al-Sa'ad al-Jashmi, al-Muhsin ibn Muhammad bin Karama al-Bayhaqi, Abu al-Khattab Nasir ibn Ahmad bin Abdullah al-Batir, Abu Mudar Mahmud ibn Jarir al-Dibbi al-Asfahani was who taught al-Zamakhshari the knowledge of Nahu and Arabic literature. The scholar Abu al-Sa'ad al-Jashmi al-Muhsin ibn Muhammad bin Karama al-Bayhaqi is the one who taught the knowledge of Al-Quran and Usul Fiqh to al-Zamakhshari, and Abu al-Khattab Nasir ibn Ahmad ibn Abdullah al-Batir is the one who taught al-Zamakhshari the fiqh of al-Shafi'i schools.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Wan Nur AMIRAH ZAHIDAH binti Wan ANUAR, and my number matric is 1202180. So for today I will present about Muhammad Rashid Ridha and his interpretation of Al-Manar. Okay, his full name is Muhammad Rashid bin Ali Ridha bin Muhammad Shamsuddin bin Bahauddin bin Mulla Ali Khalifa Al-Qalamun Al-Baghdadi Al-Hushaini, and he was born on 23rd September 1865, equivalent to 28 Jamadil Awal year 1282 Hijrah, in the district of Qalamun, which is a small village located on the edge of Mediterranean Sea near to Lubnan Hill, which is approximately 3 kilometers from Tripoli, Syria. And he died on 22nd August 1935 at the age of 69 years old. Okay, now I will be explain about the history and profile of the Almanar. Almanar was founded by Rashid Rida in 1898, and his brother Salih Rida was also instrumental in the establishment of the magazine. They were both members of the Decentralization Party. Their goal in establishing the magazine was to articulate and disseminate reformist ideas and preserve the unity of the Muslim nations. The magazine was based in Cairo, and it was started as a weekly, but later its frequency was switched to monthly. And Rashid Rida was the sole editor-in-chief of the magazine. Okay, after that, its content was heavily about Quranic interpretations, and Rida published numerous articles in Al-Manar which praised the Wahhabi movement in Saudi Arabia. However, the magazine also featured articles on politics, which one of the contributor was Abdul Rahman Al-Kawakibi, which is a scholar from Aleppo, Syria. And his book al-Qura was serialized in Al-Manar from April 1902 to February 1903, which proposed the establishment of an Arabian or Sharifian Caliphate. And after that, following the death of Rashid Rida in 1935, the magazine was irregularly published until 1940, and 2 issues were published by the heirs of Rida. And from 1939 to 1940, the Association of Muslim Brotherhood was the publisher of Al-Manar. Okay, that's all from me.
Sheikh Tantawi Jauhari was born in Wadilat Hijazi in the southeast of Al-Zaghazi, Egypt in 1287 Hijrah or 108,062 Masihi. He studied Arabic language at University of Al-Azhar and Darul Ulum at University of Cairo. One of his famous teachers is Sheikh Ali Al-Bulaki. Sheikh Tantawi Jauhari teach while writing kitabs and has huge interest in astronomy. One of his famous kitab is Al-Jawahir fi Tafsir Al-Quran, or known as Journal of the Interpretation of the Holy Quran. It consists 26 volumes and focus on Kauniyah verses. The form used by Sheikh Tantawi Jauhari to write this kitab is Ittija al-Ilmi. Ittija al-Ilmi means a tafsir or interpretation from scientific perspective. He wanted to urge Muslims at that period to take heed and reflect on themselves while reading Al-Quran. He also wanted to show that in the Al-Quran itself, there are verses in it that is not contradict with science. He focused on Kauniyah verses instead of Qawliyah and Insaniyah because to him, there are only about 150 verses that mention about fiqh.
The last one is Tafsir Bayani of the Quran by AISYAH Abdul Rahman, or known as Bintu Ash-Shati'i. Bintu Ash-Shati'i's full name is AISYAH Abdul Rahman. She chose the alias Bintu Ash-Shati'i since it referred to her early life on the coast of Damietta where she was born. Dr. AISYAH Abdul Rahman went to Cairo University to study Arabic, getting a bachelor's degree in 1939 and master's degree in 1941. In 1950, she received her PhD with honors and was appointed as Professor of Arabic Literature at Ain Shams University College for Women. Her husband is a tafsir expert named Amin Al-Khulli. There are many works of Bintu Ash-Shati'i. In Egypt and various Arab countries, around 40 titles in the field of Dirasa Islamiyah, fiqh, tafsir, adab, and others have been produced. Among them are Muskilatu al-Taradufu al-Lughawi and Turasuna Baina Madin wa Hadirin. One of her famous works is Kitab Tafsir al-Bayani lil-Quran al-Karim. This kitab consists of 2 volumes, where she put 7 short surah and in the first and second volume of the kitab. These are the method that she used to interpret the Quran. The first one is the principle that certain Quranic verses interpret other Quranic passages. The principle of munasabah, the principle of al-ibratu bi umum al-lafti la bi khusus as-sabab, and the principle that every word in the Quran does not have a synonym. Bintu Ash-Shati'i died of a heart attack at the age of 86. Her entire body of work affirms her greatness.
In conclusion, it is important for us to appreciate all the hard work and passion that the Ahlul Mufassir had put into their works in interpreting Al-Quran. Besides, the correct application of Islam faith is based on a thorough understanding of Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala's guidance. Without knowing Quran tafsir, humans will be unable to comprehend the Quranic verses that convey Allah's almighty commandments and guidance correctly. Therefore, Islamic scholars have set this condition for those who wish to interpret Al-Quran and write a tafsir, or also known as mufassir in Arabic. Therefore, not only those who wish to be a mufassir should fulfill all the 7 conditions, but they also have ethics to adhere as a mufassir.